Hey y'all, hey, real quick, wanted to suggest something that I think will be very helpful, and that is for you to, one, get your natal chart unpacking session if you haven't yet. What is the natal chart unpacking session? That is the time I spend with you looking at your natal chart, your birth chart, which is essentially, if you ask me, it's like your blueprint. You know, I hear a lot of times people say, we didn't come into this world with an instruction manual. Actually, we did. We did come into this world with an instruction manual. And it's your birth chart. And unfortunately, in the Western world, because most of us grew up under Christian doctrine, and Christian doctrine that's taught, you know, from a very literal standpoint and not metaphysical, things like astrology, natal charts, birth charts has been taboo for a long time. And we are now, gratefully, we're in this age of Aquarius, this shift in age. Gratefully, people are softening up around it and at least becoming a little remotely open-minded about it. Gratefully. And so I do think you should get it done. If you have not gotten that done yet, I do offer natal chart unpacking sessions. You spend an hour with me looking at your natal chart, looking at your birth chart. I give you a brief beginner kind of like Astrology 101. We start with that, where I kind of tell, you know, we talk about in a very beginner, I don't go too advanced way. We talk about what is astrology and what is your birth chart and what do these different things mean. And I give you some resources so they can help you out as you take the information that you're getting out of the session and move forward with it. How's my sound, y'all? Okay. And so we start with that. And then after we go through that kind of part of it, then I start to help you to see.
At the light, turn left onto Metropolitan Parkway Southwest.
I thought I turned that off. I start to help you to see how to use the information, because the app that I introduce you to, which could also be downloaded or accessed. Okay, thank you. Accessed on their website. It's going to give you a lot of information. You don't have to really do too much. It's going to already give you a lot of information. That's the beautiful thing about technology now. You know, when before you had to go to an astrologist who had to take the time to look at your math and science of the stars and write it out, and then you had to trust that they knew how to articulate it in a way that's resonant. That's what's important to me too. Let me back up a little bit. Natal charts, birth charts are math, okay? No one has to channel your chart. No one has to, like, that's not what's up. Now, people can interpret your chart, which means they look at the mathematics and the science, and now they interpret it from their standpoint, which you have some astrologists, I love the way they interpret. I love their language. While other astrologists, I don't like so much. And it just really depends on where they are in their consciousness. You know, are they doomsday type people? Do they speak language? Like, I don't like anyone who speak language of negativity. Like, language of negative. Like, negative language, I don't like those people. Like, because they're going to talk about your chart in a way like, oh, you need to be careful about this, and you know, these are some of your faults and your weaknesses. I don't even like none of those words. It's all good, okay? So the way I help people to unpack it and look at the information is, let's take this information and see where the good is. So that's my niche. My niche is to take the information, even this information that may be challenging for you, and you may resonate with it, but you may not like it about yourself. I'm going to help you like it about yourself, because there's always something good about it. And we're going to talk about it in that way. And so if you have not yet, I really do suggest that you get your natal chart unpacking session. She said, and she does a fantastic job of it. Had mine done already. Very, very enlightening. Give thanks, sister. And so and some people get more than one, because in the first session we can really only cover about maybe like 2 to 3 planets, you know, or aspects. which is what I got on here to talk about, is aspects. But it's okay to get, and it's usual, you know, it's not unusual to get 2 or 3 unpacking sessions, because we may start with your Chiron, which I suggest people to start with. Your Chiron is your point of healing. That's your place that's where your trauma kind of shows up. That's where the drama shows up. That's gonna tell you what is the root issue oftentimes of what's happening all around in your life. So if you get to that root, that's why I like to get to the Chiron. Like, let's look at the Chiron, let's look at the North Node and South Node, because that's your point of healing, then that's your destiny. So we look at those 2, we should be good. But I mean, sometimes we may start with other planets, just depending on what the person has going on. A lot of times people are dealing with things with relationships, you know, they may be dealing with things with their money, and so they want to start with Venus or like Saturn or Mars. And I think that's wisdom too, because you know, you want to know why is it that you're not having success in certain kind of ways in your relationships and with your money, you know, and you can find that out in your charts. I mean, you could find that out in your charts. Anyway, let me get to what I got on here to talk about and suggest, because it was not only to get your natal chart unpacking session, which I highly suggest. Again, if you have not yet, get that. You can find my offerings at the link in the bio. Just go to other offerings or go to my calendar. You will see it on there. I also posted it in my story just recently, so it's up there at least for a few hours, I believe. So when it comes to your chart, I think right now something that can be very beneficial is if you look at your long-term influences right now. It's something in your chart called long-term influences. Now, if you're not familiar with this, that's okay. Just keep a open ear right now and hear me out. As you go through your journey in life, as the cosmos is doing what it is doing, and you are who you are, what's happening above is impacting you. What's happening with the planets and the sun and the moon and all of that is always impacting you. And so sometimes there are some aspects, and aspects in astrologies is basically angling of energy, right, that impact you. So short version, here's your chart. Your Venus is in a certain sign, your Mars is in a certain sign, your Saturn is in a certain sign. This is just an astrology 101 type of lesson. That's set. All of those planets, when you were born, at the time you were born, at the place you were born, it's set. You know, they're not going to change. However, as time go on, the planets and things move. And so as they move, and your chart is set in this, is stationary, as they move, the planets and the sun and the moon and all of those beautiful things they become angled to your chart. And this impacts you. So when you look at your long-term influences, it's going to tell you things like, oh, the Pluto is going to be conjuncting your moon for 8 months. Or your Venus is trining with Saturn for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm making stuff up. But what this means, like for me, one of my long-term aspects is I have a long-term aspect with my Chiron. So that, and it's like 2 years. You know, I have a couple of months break in between those 2 years, but it's like 2 years of my Chiron being aspected by a planet. It's a whole lot going on out here. What is happening? Why are you beating your horn like that? Please don't do that. And so why is this information beneficial? Because it's giving me some insight on some energy that I'm gonna be dealing with for like 2 years. And so when you don't know this, what can happen? What can happen is you can start feeling like something is going, like you can maybe get confused about what's going on because of some dynamics that you're experiencing. But if you know what's going on, you can be a cooperative component on the journey. That's understandable. You know what I mean? When you know what's going on, and that's just living intentional in general. Y'all already know what my stilo is. Live intentionally as best as you can. And knowing your charts and knowing your aspects and long-term influences and all these things when it comes to astrology helps you to live more intentionally. A lot of times we be just winging life. And then sometimes we be going through things, and because of this society, society, when you go through and you start to have certain emotions and dealing with certain things, the language around it is so deficit. Oh, you're depressed. Oh, you need to get on some meds. You need to, and I'm not bashing anything. I'm not here to bash or even really advocate for anything. I'm just really just relaying information. Sometimes you could think you're depressed, or you could think your life is spinning out of control, or you could think you're going crazy, but actually it's just an aspect in your chart that is shifting your life in a certain kind of way. And if you could see that and see that it's written, maybe you can calm down a little bit and you can go with the flow. And so if you're realizing that it's having a certain impact on you, then you can create or identify some ways that you could relax and give over to the process. Because it may be hurtful, whatever it is. I'm not saying that when the aspects show up and shifts start to happen in your life that it won't impact you in a way that feels rough. I'm not saying that. It's not always, shifts and transformations and metamorphoses and all of these different things that show up in our lives all the time ain't always peaches and cream. You feel me? But it could be if you know how to vibe with it, but you got to know how to vibe with it. And you can't really start to identify how to vibe with it if you don't even know what's really going on. So I'm at my destination. I think I've gotten my message across. I pray I have. If you have not yet, get your natal chart unpacking session. When you get your natal chart unpacking session, especially now, I'm going to help you to see and look for your long-term influence. So you're going to leave knowing what your long-term influences are. You're also going to leave knowing what your Chiron is. So you're going to know your point of healing, and we just might go into your destiny. I'll let you choose a planet that you want to go over if you want to, but you're going to walk away knowing a lot of things that could be very helpful on your journey. And I'm going to also help you to know how to use that information. So you're not just, dumped with a lot of information and don't really know how to use it. I think that'd be the thing with people getting to know their natal chart. They're like, okay, I see this stuff and I'm reading this app that you showed me, Queen, but what do I do with all of this? And so my goal in your session is you to leave knowing how to use it. I'll share how I've used it over the years, how it has been impactful for me, and suggest how you should use it. But main thing is I want you to get to know yourself and also love yourself, because again, some things that come up in your chart may be a little like, dang, I want it really that don't sound amazing. But you're gonna leave knowing that it is amazing. You just have to be up on your divine assignment to make sure you evolve in a certain level where every aspect of you is glowing with your light. Oftentimes it only show up in a way that it's not so great is when you're kind of dealing in a certain low vibrational place. And it is what it is, but knowing how to raise your vibration is helpful. All right, peace and love, y'all. Happy full moon. We in the full moon period. I am leading a guided meditation on Thursday evening for the full moon. If you're in Atlanta, I think I have like at least 2 spots left for the sound bath this Friday, and I have a few slots left for the day retreat this Sunday. So come through. I always got something going on. Make sure you join my newsletter. You can do that at my website, which is at the link in the bio up here in the profile, or if you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the caption. So join my newsletter so you can stay up to date. And also, it's a lot of other goodies in the newsletter. And love and light to you. Okay, love and light to you. Peace.